again. Hopefully this time it will work. Let's see if Michelle is still there. We're gonna do this until we get it right. Yeah? Okay, there's Michelle. All right, good. Okay, good morning, everybody. We are having technical delays and difficulties and all these on Instagram this morning, which is probably from my remote location in Ojai, California. But let's see if Michelle's going to join. Okay, we're just gonna try again.
We're back.
So because I want to be able to repost this and we had a false start, hopefully this one will go through. I am just going to continue, or I'm going to backtrack a little bit and not pick up where we left off necessarily, because I really want the replay to show the entire interview, because I think you're awesome. I think you're fabulous. What I wanted to share with everybody is that this is Michel Ripka, who's a violinist, and received her your BFA or your BA in music from the School of Theater, Music and Dance from the University of Michigan. And I was yelling, "Go Blue," because I'm an alum, and my 3 kids are alums. So go Blue, go Blue, go Blue. And we have our mutual friend, Ken Fisher, who introduced us to each other. And of course, he's Mr. Go Blue, right? But what I was just sharing with everybody is that you are currently a Master of Management candidate through Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. And so it's very exciting that someone who is as talented as you are as a musician, that you want to go into arts management. And I think that it's so interesting that you're doing that, because it really speaks to the kind of concert that you created for your final piece at the University of Michigan. Was this a thesis concert? Tell me, what was the official name of the concert that you created?
Yeah, sure. I'm so thankful to Ken for connecting us. He's absolutely wonderful. And the title of my program was called From Holocaust to Hope. And so typically, as a Bachelor of Music violin performance major, you'll have a senior recital at the end of your degree to kind of culminate all of your learnings, what you've learned thus far in your degree, and show certain skill sets. I kind of took this program as an opportunity to segue from my performance career into my arts administration career, and kind of make it a combination multimedia event that I was really fortunate to curate and bring to fruition right before COVID happened last February.
Yes, it really did happen just a few weeks before. And
right.
I'm so happy for you that you got to have your family with you. And people flew in from different states around the country to celebrate with you. And it is a perfect marriage of performance and arts administration, especially if you have any designs to become a presenter like our dear friend Ken Fisher, because you created a program that it really covered many different aspects of Holocaust awareness and education, not the least of which began with a beautiful candle lighting with someone like Dr. Irene Butter. And as a matter of fact, I have a phone call with her later on this afternoon. But for anybody who's watching, if you haven't seen Michelle's concert, you can go on YouTube and just Google Michel Ripka and you will see Holocaust to Hope. But you also introduced everybody to Shares, which I think is an extraordinary program, the Students for Holocaust Awareness, Remembrance, and Education. And I really want to talk about that. But then on top of that, you interviewed a Holocaust survivor, and you also played 5 very specific pieces of music in your program. And I want to talk about those 5 pieces of music and why you selected them, and where you think we're going with music and Holocaust education and awareness today. So you pick, Michelle, which topic do you want to start with first?
Lots of options. I think we could just start with the pieces and how I picked those. So the title From Holocaust to Hope was reflected in the pieces, like you said, related to the Holocaust, Judaism, and my personal background, being German, Polish, Russian. And I felt like our world is constantly changing. And so that these pieces were specifically picked to inspire hope, but also remembrance on hate-fueled acts that have happened in the past through the present to today. So the first piece was the theme from Schindler's List, which is a very iconic soundtrack, and I'm sure many of you know the movie Schindler's List, and John Williams wrote the theme song to that. So that was the first piece I played, and that was accompanied, like you said, with the candle lighting ceremony, where Holocaust survivors, second generation survivors, and just other leaders in my network who I feel have been really a forefront spearheading DEI efforts in today's world, came up and lit candles in remembrance of the 6 million and others who have perished due to hate-fueled acts. And so I think that piece was just kind of like to open it up, because it is a very iconic theme to this movie that's associated with the Holocaust. And when you think Schindler's List, you think the Holocaust and all these bad, awful things that have happened, but then also there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And so that kind of took us to the second piece, which is a Brahms violin sonata in A major. And that was picked really because, just to kind of, with my personal background being German, Polish, Russian, and Brahms, just to have kind of like more of a classical feel to the program. But actually, Bronislaw Huberman was a Jewish Polish violinist who was actually impressed Brahms and was born in Germany with his musical abilities. And he's actually credited to saving around 1,000 children in the Holocaust. So that was the second piece. The third piece was the Simon Lax string quartet, the second movement of that piece. And this piece was picked because Simon Lax was the director of the Auschwitz Orchestra. And he was a Jewish prisoner who was selected to lead the Auschwitz Orchestra. And some of you may know, like, at least the way I see it, is the orchestra was used to assist in the Germans' Nazis propaganda, to show that, oh, like the Auschwitz, it's just like a regular camp, like we have an orchestra and whatnot, but also to be manipulative in the sense that to deceive the prisoners who were going into the gas chambers. And so they had this orchestra playing so that the prisoners wouldn't give them much trouble. So Simon Lax wrote this piece, and he was the director of the Auschwitz Orchestra. So that's where that came into play. The Ravel Kaddish is a piece that's inspired by the Holy Jewish Prayer, Kaddish, which is said frequently to remember the dead. And this piece was just a very heartfelt piece that has a lot of emotion in it, and it includes praises to God and thanks, and it's really like a prayer also for universal peace in my eyes. And then the last piece was Israeli Concertino, which is a fun, lightweight, upbeat, lively piece, and that has the Hatikva, which is the Israel's national anthem, literally Hatikva meaning hope, embedded into it, and just a really fun piece to play, and just like to remember that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and hope can really give us strength to believe in the future.
Absolutely.
So
I mean,
those were the pieces.
They're great. And I really do want to encourage everyone, if you haven't heard Michel's concert, go on YouTube, just Google Michel Ripka, Michel with one L, and Ripka is Ripka, and Holocaust to Hope. They're exceptional pieces, and particularly the Simon Lax piece moved me to tears. I was just blown away by that. So I'm very happy to learn the story. I mean, happy is not really the right word, but I'm glad that I understand where the piece comes from now, and it's really quite exceptional, and so moving that you included so many other people in your senior recital. So I want to talk about your history and really what brought you to this place. You do talk in the concert about your Nana, and you've also just mentioned in your description of the pieces of music where your family comes from. So how was it that you came to want to even explore and dive deep into your roots and do it musically?
Yeah. So my grandmother, Nana, who actually passed away a couple months ago, she was born in, she was 98, COVID, but she had a really incredible story in her life. And she was born in Hamburg, Germany. And I think really the concept for this program was inspired by a couple of things. But a couple of years ago, my sophomore year of college, I took a class with one of my dear mentors, Aaron Dorkin, and one of our projects for that class was to create a TED Talk-esque final project or presentation. And so I titled mine, Does a Violin Have a Soul? And so I think this kind of got me thinking, because it's kind of an ambiguous question, right? Like, what that meant to me, how I internalized that as seeing music as a means to convey a message. Like, yes, a violin is just like a wooden box, but it's so much more than that. Like what you do with it, like the passion put into it, the emotion put into it, really can like just give a message across and like share that message with others. So Nana was a big part of this also, with her background, being almost sent to a concentration camp for wanting to bring a violin with her when she was fleeing Nazi Germany. And she actually got out on the third to last ship from Germany to England, and she was allowed to bring 3 items with her, and the violin was one of them. And I actually performed on that violin that was restored on the program, and that violin was used in Schindler's List, in the theme from Schindler's List. So yeah, I think definitely it's so important to like that. For me, it was so important to kind of like internalize this, like in this project in the class, and then thinking about my family's background, it kind of just turned into this program to promote Holocaust education. And then I can go on and talk a bit about just the others involved if you'd like, or I can backtrack, whatever you want to talk about.
I mean, even that you're telling me that the first piece that you performed, the John Williams theme for Schindler's List, that you played it on your grandmother's violin. I mean, I'm getting like emotional just thinking about that. And I would love to hear more about the Violins of Hope and the program that was her violin restored by the same man who is restoring all these violins for the violin. Explain the whole Violins of Hope program for everyone to learn about, because it's just extraordinary.
Yeah, so Violins of Hope is a program created by Amnon and Avshalom Weinstein in Israel, and they restore Holocaust era instruments, specifically violins. And I believe that those violins have toured different countries and cities with different orchestras, and different people have played them to just keep that memory alive. And so my grandma's violin was not restored in that project, but it was restored by a family friend who is a luthier who was like kind of inspired by the Violins of Hope project, David Herman. And so he restored my grandma's violin, and that's the violin that I played on. But yeah, Violins of Hope is really wonderful. I think definitely check it out. Amnon and Avshalom Weinstein. And I actually had the privilege to play for them years back when I was in Israel for my cousin's bar mitzvah. But yeah, it's a really wonderful project that they have. So
that's incredible. That's just incredible. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Shares. Let's talk about shares. This is unique, I think, to the University of Michigan, is it not?
Yes. So SHARE is Students for Holocaust Awareness, Remembrance, and Education, like you said before, and their main job on campus is to promote Holocaust education. So I invited them to.
Club, it's a branch of Hillel, or is its own club?
Sorry, yes. So it's a branch of Michigan Hillel. And our Hillel is very fortunate to have so many incredible clubs and organizations within Hillel that you can join. So SHARE is just one of those places. But yeah, it's a really incredible organization. And even this year, just being a part of it virtually, because I'm still in Michigan now for my master's, just being a part of their events virtually. They interview Holocaust survivors virtually now, and have other like anti-Semitism workshops, how to prevent anti-Semitism workshops, and really just like topics that are so important for those conversations to be having. So SHARE was invited to speak about a bit about what they do on campus, which is promote Holocaust education in many different mediums. And I was really thrilled that they could be there for that.
It's wonderful. And they have two really interesting programs that they do, or at least two public things that they do twice a year. You want to talk about reading of the names? And did that happen last week, or did you do it in January? Which Holocaust Remembrance Day do you guys do that particular honoring on?
Yeah, so I'm actually not a member of Share, but my best friend is the president and was president last year of Share, so that's how I was connected with them. But unfortunately, they did not get to do the name reading. Where, if you don't know, so Share will read names for 24 hours as a vigil in the Diag, which is like the University of Michigan courtyard, main courtyard area, and they'll read names of people who perished in the Holocaust. And unfortunately that did not get to happen this year, but I was really thrilled to be a part of. They invited me to be a part of their event that they had virtually this year for Holocaust Remembrance Day, which was a more intimate setting, where we spoke with a Holocaust survivor, and actually Kaddish piece, the violin piece that I played in my recital, was featured in that event. That was just a couple of days ago. But yeah, it's really incredible that they're finding all these other ways to continue with their programming, even in this virtual world. And I know it's been so interesting for everyone to be adapting to being remote now.
Yes.
But yeah, they were able to still do a Holocaust remembrance type event, just in a different formatting this year.
Right, right. Well, I think we all did a very, very different format this year. I was able to be a speaker and present on 3 different days, actually 4 different days last week, and it was all virtual. I don't think it could have happened if it wasn't virtual. So it's that strange, I can't really call it the silver lining of COVID. I mean, you just lost your grandmother to COVID, and something that I just don't think is lost in this conversation, to think that your grandmother, a Holocaust survivor, is now not with us. And what does that mean for my generation, your generation, and moving forward?
Yeah, I think that, and that's actually a question that I was asking at one of the Share events a couple months back when we were speaking to a Holocaust survivor. Like, how can we, now that like generations are moving on, like how can we remember the Holocaust without speaking to a survivor? And I think that the most important thing is you should learn their stories. We should learn as many stories as we can. Everyone should be learning their stories, and educate, I think, is the key. And educate our peers, educate our friends, our coworkers, whoever it is, that these memories have to live on.
Mhm.
And I think things like videotaping Holocaust survivors speaking, and just like more so just internalizing their story so that you're able to recite it with that kind of emotion almost, so that other people can really relate and feel that they know their story too, and what happened, and it should never happen again.
Absolutely. I mean, there is no way that we will ever be able to, nor do I think we want to recreate the emotion, as you say, of what someone has gone through that is so traumatic and so horrible. But to be able to continue to tell their stories, and and ensure that people understand that yes, the Holocaust did happen, and if we don't talk about it, there is this possibility of things happening again. I mean, we've seen so much hatred just this year alone, and we're only in April, you know.
Right.
We're just tiptoeing into spring right now. I'm like, what is going on, you know? So I'm so
Mm-hmm.
grateful for everybody who's tuned in to our IGTV today, to Banter with Beth. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up for Michelle. Thank you for showing up for me, so that we can continue to talk about it, and have a place that is safe where we can really express how we feel about these conversations. So please, if you are not already a subscriber to Beth Lane Film, please hit subscribe, please hit like, you know, those things, so that we can continue to have these conversations, because I truly feel that it's your generation that, with my film, Would You Hide Me, which is in post-production, that's the generation that I want to reach. That's the generation that I want to inspire, so that it can be used as a teaching tool and taken out of the echo chamber of what you and I know to be truthful, and help other people understand why words matter, why legislation matters, you know, all these things that are just so important for us to have a vital and free life. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. So tell us some more about where you are right now in terms of the Ross School of Business, and how do you
Mhm.
see some of your passions about this perhaps coming into play with this new trajectory with your career?
hmm Yeah, so I'm currently getting my Master's of Management at the Ross School of Business, and I'll be graduating in well, next month now in May. And I'm uncertain in terms
Wait,
of
you're
uh,
graduating already? You're graduating after 1 year?
yeah, it's a 10-month program, so it's
That's
pretty quick.
great. Good for
Thank
you,
you.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure which trajectory I'm going to be going down. I definitely am really interested in doing development for an arts organization would be an absolute dream. But also I might be looking at the for-profit side. I'm not really sure right now. But I think no matter what, that I'm going to continue to be a part of and participate in Holocaust remembrance events, prevention, anti-Semitism workshops, all these types of things. I think that's a big part of what makes part of my life meaningful. So just having that incorporated in my life in some aspect is definitely going to be a huge part.
Sure, sure. Michelle, what do you think? I mean, just your experience at Michigan, and you guys had a whole big hullabaloo. Um, I guess maybe it was 2 years ago on campus. Speakers wanted to come. The university didn't want them to come. It became like a whole big thing. And do you remember what I'm talking about? Um,
Um, Off the top of my head, I'm not too certain, but it definitely
I'm
sounds familiar.
I'm being a bad journalist because I should have his name at the tip of my fingers, and he's a let's just say that this has been happening on campuses all over the country. So maybe it's fine that I'm not naming names and stuff like that. But when speakers want to come to campus that really have opposing views politically about
Mhm.
about what's going on, and students are uprising and saying no, you can't come, and then at the same time we're dealing with freedom of speech and all that entails. So I guess my question really is about the generation of students who don't know what the Holocaust is and who don't understand how quickly words can turn into hate, can turn into, persecution.
Mhm.
What do you have to say about, the people in your generation that don't understand?
Yeah, I think that acceptance of and I'm trying to think of how to phrase this, but hearing everyone's views and like trying to see where those people are coming from is a huge part of being able to bring like world peace and working together. And I think that it is really a tricky situation because like people have some people have very extreme views on whatever their subject or opinions are. And when those things, I think when the views come into question of questioning a historic event that was real and that happened, and that they're saying things that can question that event, that's a flat out lie. That's not, like we have our facts. The Holocaust did happen, and 6 million people died because of these hate fueled acts, and so that they need to familiarize themselves with the facts versus biases and even propaganda that's like going on. And so I think that it is important to hear what everyone has to say, but I think educating and correcting certain people when you hear something that does not sit right with you and that is not correct, and like that, like if someone were to, God forbid, say the Holocaust did not happen, and there are crazy people who say that, to educate those people, I think is the absolute best thing that you can do.
Right. When you were
hmm
preparing your concert, your senior recital, what do you think was the biggest challenge for you in preparation for it?
I think, well, the biggest challenge for me was probably that something like this for a senior recital hadn't really been done before. And typically, like what I was saying before, you'll like pick a couple pieces that showcase your skills or your talents and pieces that you enjoy playing, and that's absolutely wonderful. But for me, I wanted to make it like this multimedia event, where like I had interviewed a Holocaust survivor that was broadcast on a projection, and then having like this candlelighting ceremony and having other people and the student group share involved with it. So I think the biggest challenge was probably just curating all of it and like seeing like having this vision that I had come to fruition. Like, how do I make it get from point A to where I want to see it, what the vision I had in my head was. So I think just like all those really logistical details, like I had a color coded itinerary with all the people helping me behind the scenes. So there were so many people who I'm so grateful for who helped me. I definitely would not have been able to do it without them. So I think really to answer your question, yeah, just the logistical planning and staying true to my vision, seeing that I know that this can happen, even if it hasn't been done before.
Well, I think you succeeded in spades, and I'm very grateful that you had the idea and that you implemented it, that you actually followed through. And also kudos to the music department for allowing you to do something that hadn't been done before. You know, that's really very, very special. You had included some really a very wide range of guests to do the candlelighting at the beginning. And so if you want to, in just our few minutes that we have left here, I'd love to hear more about each guest that was invited to join you.
Yeah, so I had who you mentioned who you're having a call with later, Dr. Irene Butter, who is a survivor of Westerbork and Bergen-Belsen concentration camps. And she came up and lit a candle, and she also, I think, was one of the founders of Zaytona, the Arab Jewish women's dialogue group in Ann Arbor. So she came up and lit a candle. Doctors Miriam and Henry Brisk, who were Holocaust survivors, also were there to light candles. Jeffrey Kahan, son of a Holocaust survivor, David Kahan, was there. And as well as some, I think those were mostly all the Holocaust survivors and second gen survivors. But then I also had my mentor, David Halen, who was my violin teacher, who was really, no pun intended, instrumental in helping me go through with this idea and this concept and make it into reality. And he's the concertmaster of the St. Louis Symphony and a professor of violin at the University of Michigan. Of course, they had Ken Fisher, who's absolutely incredible, the president emeritus of UMS, the University Musical Society, which is affiliated with the University of Michigan, and they present incredible organizations. So Ken lit a candle. Tilly Shamus, who is the executive director of Michigan Hillel, who has been absolutely wonderful in my collegiate experience of being a part of the university. Just going to Hillel is like going to my second home. So she came up and lit a candle, as well as Alexa Porter and Mackenzie Freeman, who were the presidents of SHARE last year. And my cousin Diane Kaplan, who is the CEO and president of the Rasmussen Foundation, which I believe is one of the largest or the largest charity in Alaska to support Native Alaskan rights. And Jerry and Carol Kushner, my mom and aunt, also came up to light candles, and they're the directors of the Music Institute of Long Island, and they are Nana's daughters.
Beautiful. I mean, everything about what you did and created is so inclusive. This is your senior recital. This is your time to shine. And you shared the stage with so many people. I applaud you.
Thank you.
I applaud you. And I encourage everyone, again, please go on YouTube, Google Michel Ripka. You can find Holocaust to Hope. And it's her violin senior recital from the University of Michigan from last year that is so meaningful, so touching, and so powerful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Beth. I appreciate that.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. And I want to encourage everyone, please join us next Wednesday on Banter with Beth at 10 a.m. Marla Abraham from the Western region of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in DC. Marla will be my guest next week. And the week after that will be my professor, my documentary film professor, Christy Guevara Flanagan, who has an award-winning short film in the festival circuit this season called Aguilas, which is about the migrants who are dying as they try and cross the border from Mexico to America. So this is a very, very current and prescient film. But that week, the last week of April, it will be at 9 o'clock in the morning Pacific time because Christy has faculty meetings. So we're accommodating her schedule. And then of course we have a whole lineup for May as well. So we're really excited about that. And subscribe, visit, share, post, like, all those things, not only on my Instagram here, but also on Michelle's. And you can watch the replay of this on IGTV and also on our YouTube channel, Beth Lane Films. So thank you so much. It's really wonderful to meet you.
Thank you, Beth. And this is absolutely incredible to see what you're doing and promoting Holocaust education and just having these conversations that are so important to be having. Thank you.
We will get there together. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.